Hi, I'm Molly.
And I'm Camden.
And this is the South Marshall Minute. Field day is this afternoon for the students that had 2 or fewer minors and no F's on your report card for the first term.
There will be ultimate frisbee, kickball, volleyball, parking lot games, and Kona ice. It starts after lunch.
Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You, a 7th grade student, what are you going to be doing during fall break?
I'm going to Gatlinburg.
I'm here with Maddox, an 8th grade student. What are you going to be doing during fall break?
I'm going to be going to Texas.
What are you going to be doing when you go to Texas?
Don't really know yet. Just going to go get out of the house.
Today for lunch is hamburger, cheeseburger, or spicy chicken sandwich.
Tomorrow for breakfast is whatever you have in your pantry.
No school for next week. Now to Brooklyn with the weather.
It's currently 65 degrees, and by the time you're watching this, it'll be 74. Now back to me and Molly with the news.
Chess Club will be starting after fall break. It will meet after school in room 210. A date will be announced after fall break. If you have any questions, you can ask Miss James.
This month is Hispanic Heritage Month. Today's video is about the United States of America.
Welcome to our final day of the Hispanic Heritage videos. We've traveled all over the world to end up here in our home, the United States. There's no way for me to cover every place that is important to the Hispanic community, so I'm going to focus on the 4 most well-known areas for Hispanic heritage. Southern California, which is a popular spot for just about anyone from all the places we visited except for Spain. The same goes for Texas. Florida is home to many people from Puerto Rico and Cuba. And New York and New Jersey are home to Puerto Ricans and folks from La República Dominicana. These areas have a strong network of Hispanic communities that help one another out and breed a rich, vibrant culture that mixes ancestries from many countries. Let's take a look at this map from about 1790. I know it's difficult to see the details, but you can see that blue represents Spain and green represents Portugal. Spanish territory goes all the way into Canada, and the indigenous peoples that lived in the area stretched from the United States all the way to Central America, making Mexican borders larger than they are today. What we need to understand is that borders move and change, and that they weren't always what they are as we know them now in our lifetimes. In fact, as you can see in this map, Mexican or Spanish territory went all the way up to what is now Oregon. So that means that all the states below that, too many to name in this presentation, were not considered parts of the United States territories at all. Now we'll look at this graphic that illustrates the geographical and cultural landscapes of the United States from 1810 to 1920. For example, in 1810, the Southwest belonged to Spain, and that is because Spain owned or colonized Mexico for 300 years from 1521 to 1821. The people of Mexico wanted their independence by the early 1800s, so they began to fight the Spanish in 1810, and that war lasted for 11 years until Mexico gained their independence. Then in 1845, the United States took Texas from the Mexican people, which started brewing the Mexican-American War that lasted for 2 years. It ended with the Treaty of Guadalupe, Hidalgo, that gave the United States over 55% of Mexico's territory. That includes the states of California, Nevada, Utah, Mexico, most of Arizona and Colorado, and parts of Oklahoma, Kansas, and Wyoming. As the United States began developing this land, the Mexican culture of most of these places remained. That's why we have so many Spanish names in the region. Let's think of some. Los Angeles means the angels. Colorado means colored or beautiful. Texas is pronounced Texas and means friendship in an indigenous language. San Antonio means St. Anthony, and there are so many more. Now, Mexican, Central American, and South American cultures still enrich this part of the United States. Florida has a different story. Remember I told you all that the coast of Florida is about 90 miles from Cuba? Well, in addition to Florida being part of Spanish territory, many people from Cuba fled here during the dictatorship of Fidel Castro, which was from 1953 to 2016. That established a huge Cuban community in Miami. The Dominican Republic also had their own dictator from 1916 to 1961. Even though Rafael Trujillo died in the 1960s, his reign had lasting effects similar to Castro's. For example, there is still political and economic instability on the island, which means that there is not always a clear and peaceful leader, and that it is difficult to earn money. It may also be impossible for some people to attend college because higher education as we know it in the United States doesn't exist there. So recently, people began to flee, and they went to New York and New Jersey, where there was already a Dominican community established. Let's take a look at this next graphic that details the different immigrants residing in the United States. I'm going to let it play through a couple of times so that you can take in all the different folks who live in the U.S. See if you can see not just all the folks that make up the United States, but that make up Kentucky as well.
Sé que tienes un nuevo amor, sin embargo te deseo lo mejor. Si en mí no encontraste felicidad, tal vez alguien más.
Now let's take a look at some of the cultural influences in the United States. We'll begin in California and Texas. East Los Angeles is famous for its Hispanic population, but Olvera Street in downtown Los Angeles is a huge tourist attraction. San Antonio has a major Latin presence, and Corpus Christi is where the singer Selena, who you just heard, got famous. Let's explore Hispanic culture in Florida. Remember the capital of Cuba is Havana? Well, in Miami, they have a district called Little Havana. Its most famous street is called Calle Ocho, or 8th Street, which has a massive music festival every year. Here is a mural in Miami and another one in Miami Beach. We can also see how Cuban fashion influences people in Miami. Notice the Cuban hat, similar to what you saw in the presentation about Cuba? Now let's move on to New York and New Jersey. East Harlem in New York is called El Barrio, or the neighborhood. There's also a huge Hispanic population in Queens and the Bronx. In New Jersey, we can see Dominican Pride in Jersey City, Hudson County, and Patterson. Music in the United States is loaded with Hispanic influences. Selena Quintanilla was a singer of Tejano music from Texas. Gloria Estefan is Cuban and from Florida. Jennifer Lopez is Puerto Rican and from the Bronx. Mark Anthony is also of Puerto Rican descent. Nicky Jam is Dominican. Becky G is Mexican from Los Angeles. And this 19-year-old is Angela Aguilar from Los Angeles. She is a Grammy-nominated artist known for her rendition of La Llorona, but she's also covered Lady Gaga's Shallow, which was her first English-language song. The Latin music scene is so popular in the United States that even Beyonce got in on it. Did you know that the director of Shark Boy and Lava Girl is Hispanic? His name is Robert Rodriguez, and that was also his band you heard at the beginning of the presentation. And you guys all know actress and singer Selena Gomez, who was named after the Texan singer you heard earlier. There is so much art coming from the Chicano movement in California that Cheech Marin opened up a museum to house it all. Here you can see a mixed media piece, but Chicano art also includes drawings, paintings, and even tattoos. Junot Diaz is a Dominican-American writer who has written several books, but his children's book is called Island Born and reflects on Dominican heritage. Julia Alvarez is best known for In the Time of the Butterflies, but she writes about the combination of having Dominican and American heritage and culture within the same person. I hope you guys enjoyed these presentations, or at least got a little something out of them as we've recognized Hispanic Heritage Month. Have a wonderful fall break.
Salías de un templo un día, llorona, cuando al pasar yo te vi.
Have a funky
Friday.
Tesla.
I used to rule the world. Quick, go.
Count down, Kinsey.
Tomorrow is a glazed donut.
Yeah, you can't understand that.
It is currently 65 degrees.
Today's for oh my.
Oh my.
Molly.
Today's
Hey, stay out of here while we're filming.
Ultimate Frisbee is tomorrow after school.
It will be their last home. What?
What the?
Instead, just say football on.
Have a whack-tastic
Wednesday.
Wednesday. What do you...
Today for lunch is chicken fajita. Oh, what did I just say?
Chifahita.